that I'm very excited to meet you like this for the first time. We've known each other since 2013, 2014, right? Something like that.
I was thinking about it also, and I came to the same conclusion. It must be about 2012, 2013.
Yeah, something like that. And you were the first person that I actually had like a collaboration with, like a serious collaboration, at least online, right? It's like someone who I didn't know. I remember listening to your music on SoundCloud, and I remember it just changed my world, Alex. I don't want to I don't want to make you to make it sound like because we've known each other for so many years and I'm just kind of throwing flowers at you, right? Yeah. but I'm being very, very honest with you that when I heard your music for the first time back then in 2013, 2012, the first thing that came to my mind was like, hey, can you actually do that? Is that allowed? Right? Because I came from a very traditional music background, right? So I studied classical guitar, I played jazz, I was like this very structured musician. Yeah. When I heard your music, I was like, "What is this? Like, I love this," I've never heard anything like this before, right? And so I guess I contacted you. We started talking, and eventually I started trying to do kind of like, the music that I heard from you, right? And from that point on, I really never stopped, right? Like I started discovering other musicians, or at least I was interested in listening to other musicians, right? And and then do you remember Lanny? Right? Do you remember Lanny? You I guess you're still friends?
Yes. I would have come to talk about her also. That's right. Because I think, if I remember it correctly, it was the way I got the connection to your music via this track you recorded with her, this bedtime stories.
Yeah.
And really, it was a track. I absolutely love this track also 12, 14, 15 years later. I don't know. Right. It will always stay a very favorite track of mine because I think what really thrilled me was this very fine storytelling Lady did. And I really love her stories. Right. And you did a very, very interesting and fascinating instrumentation around it.
Thank
you. I think this combines so great. It's a very favorite track of mine, and so I think we got into contact. And afterwards I also did, I think, 2 or 3 or maybe 4 tracks with Lainey. I was so impressed, and I asked her, hey, could I do something with you also? I think this track is so great you did with Carlos, and then we did, I think, 2 or 3 tracks also, and it was great fun for me too.
Definitely. You're absolutely right. The key point was Lanny, right? And that little collaboration that we did. Definitely. Yes.
Did you hear something from her in the last time? Did you have contact?
I have her Instagram, and we spoke, I don't know, fairly recently. Like I saw her send me what do you call this, like friend invitation or something, like a request, and I was very happy and surprised. I was like, wow, I haven't heard from her in like forever. Like I don't really use Facebook anymore, so I assumed that many people were not on Instagram, and but I saw her, and then I sent her a message right away, and I'm like, Lanny, I'm very happy to see that you're okay, that everything's fine. And we talked for we were back and forth with some messages for like a couple of days, but we we're still in contact in Instagram sometimes, right?
Hi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to. Go ahead, Alex.
What just came to my mind, because in your introduction you said what was interesting for you was the way I use guitar and electronics, because you are so classical trained, and for me maybe it's really the kind of opposite also, because I used to play guitar. I began to play guitar, had some lessons around when I was around 15, 16, and played also in some bands until I was about 20. More traditional guitar, but I have to admit I always was a bit lazy. I was never so behind it to get into these really interesting techniques, and which you had, and you really studied guitar. And if you when I listen to your music, I immediately say, "Oh, a great guitar player!" And I would never had these techniques, but and I had around when I was around I think 27, 28. It was around beginning of 1990s. I had a break in my guitar playing and playing with bands when I began with my studies. I studied German language and philosophy, and then I became teacher and so on, and I began with my job. But then there was some point after many years, I think it was early 2000s then. So I had this break of 10 years, and then I discovered at some point, in this digital world, there are so many interesting ways to play with electronics, and it's so easy to make to record. And I had a new way to a new way to get near to the guitar again, and to take it up again, and to find out some kind of manipulations also. And first I just tried around with VST and this digital synthesizers also. And this was very nice kind of playing and drawing. And after a while, I got so into this that I thought, now I'd like to play with some hardware. And I got my first little synth, this Arturia Microbrute, which was quite popular about, I don't know, 10 years ago or whatever. And it was a very nice way to get into this with hardware. And afterwards, I thought, okay, I'd like to. I've seen so many people with this Eurorack synthesizers with those modulars,
right?
And I think, this should be quite interesting. And so I thought, okay, I tried to build up one, and it lasted about. It was a process, of course, about some years, 4 or 5 years at least. And with the years, I discovered what is an oscillator and how to play with it and how to make sound with it. And a sampler was for me quite a fascinating instrument. And then the last step for me was that I found this module with which I can plug in the guitar into the Eurorack also.
Right.
And this got the way some after. I think this was a process about 5 or 7 years, and then I had my setup, which I play now for maybe 4, 5, 6 years now. Mm-hmm. That I have this Eurorack where I plug in my guitar, and I split it with 2 signals, one through a low pass, one through a high pass, and send them through delays. And then I use this sampler and a little bit this oscillator, and these are my 3 sound sources which I use for my playing. And somehow, by and by, with dealing with these electronics, I got this way, and it fits somehow quite nicely to my kind of guitar playing, because I play more sparse kind of style, and this delays and this echo effects and the sample sounds, etc. I think this comes together quite nicely, and this is my way of making music with the guitar now, because maybe also because of my lack of techniques, but I created other small techniques for me.
Sure. Definitely. That sounds like I mean, you mentioned that you weren't, classically trained or like whatever, but that doesn't really matter, right, Alex? When I hear you play, like I also hear like that is a really good guitar playing and so innovative. That was the thing for me many years ago that was just shocking, right? The innovation of wanting to do something different, because I also came from a background of playing in rock bands and playing in in ensembles and stuff like that, and you get to hear and to listen to a lot of musicians who do a lot of experimentation, and like through the years of the 40s, the 50s, a lot of synths, a lot of electronic music, Wendy Carlos and all of those wonderful, magnificent people, right? But it kind of just, at that time, I remember it was just kind of unreachable thing, right? That it was just kind of like these great experimental musicians, and then all of a sudden I hear like people in the present doing these things, and it's like, for me, it was just mind-blowing. After I remember started listening to James A. McDermott. I don't know if you know him. And also like these wonderful, lushful sounds and things that I just had no idea how people could do them. Right?
Yeah.
But for you, all of these things that you're talking about is the innovation, right? And through the years, you kind of, through experimenting and playing, and then now you have like this, okay, this is the equipment, this is what works for me. For the playing, for the composing, for arrangement, like everything, right? The equipment that you have. I remember also looking at some equipment that you could plug in your guitar, and like it was just, at some point I started kind of experimenting with tapes. Do you do also tapes, Alex? I have the feeling that you do, right? Manipulation of tapes.
Sometimes, yes. I at some point I bought myself a second-hand 4-track tape recorder. I think Tascam it is. And I tried a little with it, and yes, I was quite, no problem. I was quite fascinated by these sounds you can achieve through this, and what comes quite close to this tape sound is also the sampler I use in my Eurorack. This Qubit Nebulae. It's a sampler. I think it's now also 15 or around 15 years old, but it has really nice ways of this making these grainy sounds and these very slow sounds and these effects. And as I said, because in some ways, I'm on the one hand, I am very interested and fascinated when I see people playing with these big tape machines and doing so large loops around the whole room and this. But I'm not so into this. And for many time, I had to also deal with little room for my instrumentation. I have a small working room here, and I have to look how I arrange everything in my room.
Right.
And so this module was a big help. Yes, I practiced with tape itself, yes, but then I came back to this module and the electronic devices, which come quite close to the sound. I even was thinking about taking out my oscillator and replacing it through a second sample player to get more of these sound groundations. maybe it would be something for the future. I'm not sure. But yes, tape music, and especially this traditional tape music, I think it's very interesting. I think so. I think so too. Yeah. Yes, I think for me it's quite similar because the equipment which I use, and also before I bought this Eurorack, for me it was clear I take this case with 3 levels. I think it's a so-called 9 EU Eurorack. So it has got 3 bars which you can put your modules in. But for me, instantly it was clear I won't buy another one and another one and another one, because you see many people who and there's also this this word for the syndrome, this gear addiction syndrome. And I think I don't want to get addicted buying gear, because in this case there are so many things I haven't discovered yet. Maybe I have discovered 15%, and there's so much more to discover, and I don't want to lose myself completely. The danger of losing yourself in this electronics is very high, I think, and I try to resist.
Yes, especially now. Like I think that it was easier when, you know, in the 50s and the 60s, there were like 2 or 3 companies maybe making synths and, you know, making equipment for music. And you would have maybe 4 or 5 products a year that you could try and save money to. But now, Alex, you have hundreds of companies making pedal guitars, guitar pedals, I'm sorry. You have an incredible amount of companies making all of these wonderful virtual instruments and samplers and this, and it's so overwhelming. I have a friend that is unfortunately in this addiction loop of buying equipment, and every time I see him, he's like, I got these 3 new pedals, and now he has like this huge pedal board, and you know, his studio is like, I don't know, it's insane. I don't know how he finds time or money to to try all of this equipment. And I've always I remember many years ago I saw this interview with Jack White, the White Stripes guy, and he has a wonderful studio, right? He's like all analog and everything, and he says, I like to have the minimal equipment when I play live and when in my studio, because that creates that helps with creativity. The less tools you have to solve. You have to, like, I want this sound. How do I make it? So you have to solve in the process, right? And that stuck with me, and I was like, like I should just, you know, with what I have, try to solve and try to get to the point where you want to get, right? And so I've tried to do that over the years, I guess, right? Yes, for me it's quite similar, because in everyday life you have got, I think, so many impressions. For example, in my job, I'm a teacher, I'm at a school, and every day you have to do with so many people, you've got so many informations to take at home, and in the digital world anyway, you've got so many informations. And
when I'm at home and I try to do some music, it's also it's got something kind of meditation and to lose yourself in this, to clear your mind from all these outer informations. And I think this is also only possible if you reduce the instrument and your electronics, because otherwise you lose yourself also again in too much information, etc. So I think yes, to deal with little kind of instrumentation and so what can I do with it, this is the interesting thing, I think. Yes, this remembers me. It remembers me. Last Saturday, I've seen a concert for the first time with experimental musicians. Fred Frith doing guitar and playing prepared guitar, and what a person can do with a guitar and some, for example, when he uses some bottles or some towels which he plays on the guitar for making some rhythms or whatever. He only had, I think, 2 pedals he used, and all other things he did with his hands or with some other, using some cans he played rhythm with and his hands. And this was so interesting. And yes, maybe in the future I will try to also to go a little bit into this direction. I think to try what can I also use for kind of instruments from the household to make
right.
interesting guitar sounds in combination with the Eurorack. Maybe this. Or what also quite interesting, I think about 3 or 4 years, I started taking more classical lessons on the piano for the first time.
Nice.
Because a daughter of ours, she had piano lessons, and when she didn't want to do anymore, I thought, okay, this is my chance. I will take piano lessons, and this is quite interesting for me because it's the first time I come to an instrument via this more classical way of reading notes, and piano also with this left hand, right hand thing, and maybe not bad for the brain.
Exactly.
In the age also, right. And yes, and now because I just moved and I have all my gear also unpacked, but I have the piano standing in this sound, and I think it's so relaxing. So not many technical things, etc. You're just in front of the piano and playing some tunes, and it has got this nice kind of room sound also, and also a nice way to restrict yourself. To just a more minimal, making it all a more minimal. Yeah.
Exactly. I think that's the whole point, I think, right? When you, for example, I don't play the piano at all, but when I sit down in front of one, like just to visually see, okay, you have these, what is it, like 80 some possibilities, right? That's it, right? And I like the piano because it has that visual visual thing where you kind of like, okay, this is it, this is my limitation. With the guitar, I don't think it happens so much because I don't know, maybe because of the position of how you're playing the guitar, maybe, right? Maybe because it's an instrument that I know quite well, so I know what are the limitations, let's say, right? At least the physical limitations. But with the piano, I don't know what I'm doing. So whenever I sit down, I'm like, okay, well, let's see what happens, right? But something that I've always been very impressed, Alex, and this word that I'm going to say has been on my mind quite a lot lately. Prolific, right? So what I'm impressed about you, Alex, is that you are very prolific, right? I mean, you seem to have like this this work line, I want to say, like this or creation line, I want to say, where you're constantly having something, right? You're constantly releasing, you constantly have new music, you constantly have like these new sounds, these new tracks, these new, right? So, and I think that's quite wonderful, because I was talking to everyone's last week, I'm sorry, about something similar. We were talking about how there are two types of work styles. So one is the artist who has a lot to say, and it so happens that we have a lot of material because we're always playing, we're always recording, we're always experimenting, we're always having something to say. And then there's other artists or other musicians who have the pressure of having to constantly putting out things, and you can tell, right, the difference between someone who actually has something to say and someone who actually has the pressure. I think both of them are okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with any of these, right? But with you, Alex, I feel like you always are constantly having something to say, right? So I wanted to ask you, how do you manage to balance, your work, your family, your recording time, your artist time, your creation time? How do you do that, Alex?
Oh, that's a good question. Yes, I think my job I did. I over some years I reduced it to, I did maybe, so if you have 24 hours in Germany as a teacher in full time, I reduced it to maybe 16, 18 hours because money was then enough also, but it gave more time for the family and all, and so on. And I have the luck also that I have to not to go very far because the school is right in front, maybe 400 meters away from our house. Mm-hmm. Yes, so this driving around, etc., and also for the children can do all which they needed to do when they were young around the house by themselves. You can walk to the school or to the kindergarten before and so on. And so there always was some spare time for me to go back into the room and just doing some things for myself. And my wife, for example, in these times, she also enjoys it when she has some time for herself. She's painting, for example, and so we could share this between me taking some time off, her taking some time off, and yes, it was somehow important for me, as I told you, to after a day in school, if I come home and in the evening when children are sleeping, and maybe my wife went and watched some TV, and I needed to get all these things out of my head, and the best thing was to make some music with it, and this also always worked best. And yes, and now there's also a new point in my life because our two daughters, they're first time outside the house now. They're taking up their studies, and I just had to move also, and I had now a break for about 6 months in which I did nearly no new music because I had to look after the family and we had to search for a place to live for them, etc., where they were going. And so I'm interested in to see what comes now. I think there will come also a new something new now. As I told you, I'm try to go more back maybe to the piano, and I'll just wait. I will try to listen a bit into myself and see what comes out. I have some or maybe we can also say many recordings from the past also, which were quite interesting, especially the last 3 years. I was in a kind of flow when I did quite a lot, but now I need. I think it's also natural that you sometimes, even if you produce a lot and you record a lot, you sometimes need time to reflect and to get back to into you and wait what develops, because otherwise I think it's then you reach a point where maybe you have nothing to say anymore, and so yeah.
I saw, Alex, that you were on Instagram. Yes, that you were doing quite live shows, and I remember there was like a few months ago when I started noticing, like, oh, you're gonna play here and you're gonna play there, and I thought that's wonderful. That's because in all these years that we've known each other digitally. I don't think I knew that you were also doing live shows. So when I started noticing that you were having dates here and a date there, and I was very happy, because obviously that is playing live in front of music or with other people. Playing live music in front of people or with other people is also a very essential part of what we do as musicians, right? Yeah. So I was very happy to see that you were playing live. So is that something new that you're trying to do, that you are pursuing? Are you having more live dates?
I of course it lasted quite a while when I began until I did my first live set. I think it was about at least 4 or 5 years of preparation. And then what I think what helped me doing more live is this duo which I have with Stefan, a guy who's doing percussion. He has got this handpan and doing percussion sounds. And in this duo, the music I do is nearly the same, which I do when I play solo also. But when this percussion comes to this in addition, it is much easier for me to do something live, because I think when you do this solo, at least I think I'm always got this pressure. Something must come. There must come something, and it's not easy to hold back, to take some time to think, okay, what do I now? And if you're playing with 2 people, you always have this possibility to get back a little and take yourself back and reset something, do something new, and it's more interesting dynamic for me. And but this also let me start new solo gigs, because we got this thing that which fits quite well, I think, doing gigs in galleries when for the opening of exhibitions, etc. And I think this is a quite nice ambient way, because just filling the room with some sounds, and no matter if the people can talk, they can look at the pictures, and you don't need to be in the focus. I think this is also quite nice for me when I've got this feeling I don't have to stand in any focus all the time. So it's quite relaxed situation, and in this quite relaxed situations, I can also do solo gigs quite well, because I think there's no pressure. People have here they have things to watch, things to look, and they can hear the music, and they can talk to each other, and you can fill the room with the sound which fits into the atmosphere and create the atmosphere, and in some kind of way. And so I came to more live playing, especially in this duo called Klanglose I do together with Stefan also.
Yeah. Do you, when you do these solo sets, do you have something prepared, or do you come in to improvise? Do you kind of like feel the room, or do you have half and half maybe? What do you do usually, Alex?
The only kind of preparation is the samples I use and the sampler in the rack. They are prepared, but everything else is improvised, I think, because also the way I use the samples. The sound setup which I use now is quite. It's not too complex for me now, because I have the guitar, sampler, oscillator, and mainly the guitar and the sampler, and so I can start laying a rhythm or a loop with the guitar, and then everything develops. This was the thing in the beginning, which was quite hard, because of course, there was this insecurity. Oh, what happens? And what happens if this don't work? And right. And after a while, and when you got into this process, you know, okay, you can trust yourself and the instrument and the moment, and just let yourself fall and flow. And I think this is quite relieving to get free from this fear, and this insecurities, and
sure. Yeah, definitely.
So it's mostly improvised. What I do in this sets. Yeah,
that's pretty cool. I also like when I ask you, because I've been struggling with my live sets, so I've tried diving in and trying to do more live, because I miss it. I miss, just being live in front of people or playing with other musicians. And for the last few years, I've only been like I said, like Frankenstein, putting together things in my studio, right? But it's been very difficult, and it's been a long process as well. So when I do, I usually also, I have some samples and I have some things that I have prepared, but usually I always also improvise, right? So I'll just kind of see and just let myself, be taken by whatever I do have prepared. And sometimes there's sometimes very interesting themes or melodies come up that I don't forget for some reason, and I just keep repeating them in other live sets, right? But I was very interested in knowing how exactly how your process was and how you were doing it, because for me it's also been very challenging, kind of almost like trying to find my live sound, my live how can I say this, not a persona, but I guess the sound that I want to have live, because the music that I do in the studio usually doesn't give you any room to Like, okay, well, now I have to hire a cello player and a percussionist, and now I have to transport this sound into a live set, and I have to play the guitar and the ukulele and then this and that. And it's like, no, I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna do that, right? So, trying to translate those songs from the studio versions into a live version has been very challenging.
Oh yes,
very challenging.
Oh, yeah.
Do you, Alex, have any pieces from your albums, from your library, that you say, okay, I'm playing this exactly, or I'm doing a translation of this version into a live version that I can play in front of people? Do you have that? Do you do that?
No, rather not. What I have is sometimes maybe I take some pieces which come to my mind and or which I recorded before, and I extract small samples from it for the Eurorack and use it for this. Or maybe I memorize some kind of techniques I used in some ways. I think it's more this and the playing. I think the style, maybe in the atmosphere. Some pieces which I did, and I remember, this went quite nice, and I try to do something like this again, but not especially the same notes or something like this.
I see. Yes. Maybe like like the idea maybe of something, if you decided, right, like, oh, like maybe this would be nice, but the only thing that you translate or take with you is like kind of like the idea, the essence of this particular piece, right?
Yes, I think so. So you could say, yeah.
Speaking about the essence of, I just thought of something that I'm very curious to ask, or would be. The essence of a piece, or the essence of your work, usually, I think, because that's what happens with me, so I'm assuming other artists do the same thing. There are some times where I have like a theme in my head, or an idea, a feeling, or something that's where I draw my inspiration to write music, right? So maybe for the longest time it was memories, right? So I was very obsessed with memories, remembering, and that translated a lot into the music, and also like those little visual things that I did was also, you could see that also with remembrance and memories and whatnot. Do you, Alex, when you write music, do you usually also like, do you have like something stuck in your head that gives you like the inspiration, or maybe it's a word? It has happened to me also. Like I see a word, for example, in Japanese, and I'm fascinated by the word in Japanese. I'm like, okay, and then I just kind of like make all this music. But how does it work for you? How do you usually work with inspiration? Like how does it come to you, I guess, is my question, right?
In the last years it was mainly from the instrument. So when I play and I begin with something, and mostly sooner or later there comes a point when I think, oh, okay, and then maybe through this sounds which I hear, maybe there comes some associations or feelings or whatever, and I think, okay, that's it, and now I can go on and develop something. It may be some kind of rhythm or some kind of sounds, and then there comes somehow a hook, and you think, okay, now I'm involved into this. So it's not that I have a certain picture or impression or whatever which I try to transform into music. It's more the moment itself, and then of course some kind of random, because it's impossible to plan what comes out, but just to start with something and be open to what comes, and then yes, and in the last 3 years, in most times when I sat and improvised in the evening, sometimes okay, there are sessions and you think, oh no, today it's not working, no, and maybe after half an hour, no, it's not working, or maybe after 2 hours, you think, no, it wasn't. It always can happen, but mostly it was sometimes sooner or later there came a point when I thought, okay, now I'm in it, and now I can let the machine run, and I can improvise towards it, and it was quite nice kind of interplay between me and especially the looper, and let loops run in and out and shift them kind of into each other and play above it, and to see where the journey goes. And in this way, then the pieces which came out were mostly between 20 or 30 minutes, because one time I was in it and then I could let it go, and then so it's not a certain idea before making the music, but it's just starting. It's starting and to work with what comes, and to look what can you come with it. And then this is interesting. Then often there came some feelings or associations, pictures while the music developed. Yeah.
That is very interesting. That is very, very interesting, because I think so you create a sound, you create maybe even a melody or a sound or an ambience, something, and that I find this very interesting, because it's kind of like you're feeding. It's like a loop of feeding, right? So you give and you take, you give and you take, and you receive and you and that is wonderful. Like I don't think I've ever given myself the opportunity or had the opportunity to work in a piece like in that way. Like for me, it's like feeding, and then right, and then there's sometimes that I physically hear something that is not there, right? Like and then kind of like the piece is telling me what it needs or what it wants, and then I'm like, okay, there. And so I do that, and that's kind of like the only interaction that I have with the piece. But what you're saying is very interesting and fascinating, because it's like a constant loop of just giving and receiving, and giving and receiving, and without any preconceptions, right? It's just like me in the moment, letting everything flow through you, right? And then letting that flow come back, and then it's like, oh, okay, so yeah, this is what I see, I hear, I feel. Okay, so here it goes again, right? That's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. The if there is any preconception, it's the question, which instruments do I use, exactly, and in which way do I put them together?
Exactly.
And yes, and then the flow can begin. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. So besides the piano, the guitar, the Eurorack, are there any other instruments that you might be interested in? Like say like, oh, like that weird instrument that I saw many years ago. Maybe I would like to like incorporate it sometime. Do you feel like there's any instruments that you would like to kind of play around with?
Oh, good question. I have what I have at home and want to use, but I'm not sure in which way and what I'm going to do with it, is kalimba, for example.
Oh, nice, okay.
And it's very nice, but I until now I haven't found the right way for me to to integrate it into my music, but it's something which is still on the list and still in my mind to do. And what also interests me quite a lot, not as instrument, but maybe instrument in some way also, is the field recorder, to go outside and make recordings of everyday life or of nature, and to look how you can integrate this into the sound, or use it also as sound ambience in which you develop your music. This is quite nice thing I also discovered about 10-15 years ago when I started with it. Yeah.
Sometimes I ask this question because I also, like, there's some times where I find an instrument and it's probably a used instrument, or I find it somewhere and I have no idea what it's called, but I just kind of like I don't know how you play it, but just like the experimentation, like a little kid, right? Like how you would do. I remember this time. It was very, very recently. I found. I don't think I have it. I don't have it around here to show you. But it's kind of like a harp, right? But I was walking down the street. I went to the pyramids in Mexico City. So I went to the pyramids in Mexico City, and then I was walking down with my family. We were like, and then all of a sudden, I started hearing like a harp sound, like a ring ring. And I thought, like, what? Like, and then I kind of like started, following the sound, and my family were like, where are you going? Where is he going? And I was like hypnotized by the sound, and like looking. Then I found this guy who was selling these little harps, and I thought I want one of those, and I bought one. I have no idea how to play it, what they're called, and I remember I was recording something. I had some people over, and this girl came up, and she was like, "Oh, that's a wonderful sound. Like, what's the name of the instrument?" Like, and I told her, I don't even know how to play this this instrument, right? And
is it a kind of harp which you can lay on the table so it doesn't stand?
Exactly, yeah. You lay it down on the table, and yeah.
I think because that's very interesting, because I think this is the instrument I'm into. It may be a sitar in Germany. In the south of Germany, we've got this sitars. They have a similar sound to the harp, and maybe a bit higher in the tones. In Germany, it's called sitar. I think it's written Zither.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I'm writing it down.
Right. Yeah, yes, you can check it out. I'm not sure, but check it out and tell me if it's really a sitar, because I think I discovered this instrument also in a German underground band from the 80s.
Nice.
39 Clocks, for me it was most interesting German band from the 80s, and they used on a few tracks this sitar, which is a folk instrument from southern Germany, I think, and in a very interesting way. And then I thought, hey, that's very interesting, very nice sounds, and I'd like to try this also.
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah.
So keep me updated with your experimentations.
I will. I'll send you a picture so that you can see it. But
that's good.
What fascinates me is like the connection that Mexico. So I guess that you know this, Alex. I don't know if you do, but so my family's Mexican. I was born in the U.S. I was born and raised in the U.S. in California, but been living in Mexico for many years. Actually, even by around the time that we started talking online, that I had just moved or come back here to Mexico. I was living in Los Angeles, and then I moved to Mexico, and I never left, so I just kind of stayed around 2012, 2013. And what I've learned over the years, well, obviously traditional Mexican music, is the connection that Mexico has that I still don't understand how or why. But the connection that Mexico has with Germany in respect with traditional music. And now that you So to find like this type of instruments in Mexico, and then you're telling me like, oh, that's like a traditional Southern German, and you listen to music from traditional music, Mexican traditional music, and you listen to traditional German music, and it's kind of like, is it Mexican or is it German, right? That powerful connection. I'll show you some videos and links later on, so you can. But it's wonderful. It's something that I never really expected, and it's just kind of like this thing that I encounter over and over again in my listening research, I suppose, right? I'm not sure, I may be wrong, but like polkas and instrumentations and rhythms, waltzes and stuff that are very, very similar from the German traditional music, right? But I'll send you a link, and I remember that because of the what you just mentioned, that this instrument is Southern German.
It reminds me of this German. Maybe it has got an similar Mexican instrument. I'm not sure, but this is really interesting to follow because yes, I think, and this reminds me because I think all these folk instruments, and there are many kind of relations, I think also, and a band I really like very much, which played with this kind of world folk in a very nice way in the 60s, the Incredible String Band. I enjoyed very much how they did psychedelic music without any effects, but just with this traditional instruments from all over this world, and create a complete psychedelic atmosphere with it.
Nice.
This was very interesting for me too.
Yeah, definitely. That's the power that these instruments have. It's quite interesting. Also, even the vocal techniques. Now that I remember, like I'm remembering like all of these books and that I've read, music that I've heard, and the comparisons and studies of traditional Mexican traditional music with European traditional music, and obviously there's things from all over Europe, obviously because of the connection from Spain. So you have like the Spain and if certain vocal techniques also borrowed from, I think, from the Swiss. Like even the researchers don't know if it's a coincidence or if there's like a connection, because they've never been able to link a physical or a timeline connection between how is this little community in Mexico doing the same technique that the Swiss and the Alps are doing, right? Yeah. So it's like did somebody bring it, right? Or is it a coincidence, right? Because this particular technique that I'm telling you, I'll send you a video later because it's very interesting. Is in a part of Mexico called Veracruz, right? And Veracruz is a port city, right? So a lot of commerce comes in through the ports, and it's open. So people are saying like it would make sense that maybe someone, or some people would come and then have that exchange of the cultural exchange, right? But they can't pinpoint like when or who or how, right? It's just kind of like, well, it would make sense that somebody came and, but there's no concise theory of, okay, this is what happened, right? Which is fascinating, interesting. And now that we say about this instrument, it's like, okay, well, that makes sense, right? Yeah. But I'm really curious to know what made you study. You mentioned it was German language and philosophy. Is that what you said?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. What drew you to this in your life, right?
Yes.
And to be a teacher.
I think it was in the first way it was German language. I think when I was on a school and finishing school, for me, it wasn't the thought, I want to become a teacher, because when I went to school, I was rather, I have to admit, a lazy pupil. But there were some there were some things which really interested me, and this was literature, German and English literature. And I thought, yes, I'd like to study German literature because this is what interests me. I had a very interesting German teacher also who read a lot and who could transmit it very, very nicely. And so I read a lot also when I was going to school, and discovered this world of literature. And I thought, okay, I would like to do something with this later on. And then I began to study. And I thought, okay, what do I want to do with it later? And okay, you can do something like working in a kind of library or in a bookshop, or you can do journalism or whatever. But I thought, okay, but I'd like to do teacher as well, and even if it's just security as a backup, because all other things, you can have luck and get a job, or you don't have luck. And I thought, okay, I want to be secure and do teacher also. If I have just at least to have the possibility to do it later. But when I studied then, and I have to do my first practice while the studies, this was going quite nice and quite well. And I really enjoyed it to plan lessons and do something with his pupils. And also the teachers who worked with me said, hey, that's running good, go ahead. And so somehow this developed also. It was also some kind of not absolutely planned, but so I could do what interests me, this German language thing. And I was quite glad about philosophy also, because this was a subject I had not attended at school, but a friend of me told something about it, and I said, oh yes, that could be interesting, because otherwise I would have taken German and English. I would have two languages, and maybe this would be a bit too much of this. And philosophy has got a new kind of level, which I could do something new also. And this was for me really, really very nice to deal with these philosophical topics and connected also to the German language stuff. And with this, I was quite glad. And then after my studies and then these preparations for being teacher, then I had the luck to get a job in a little more southern part of Germany than Münster. My hometown where I come from is a bit more north, but it went quite nice. And now I'm doing this for, I think, 25 years now. So
wow.
Quite a while.
Yeah, quite amazing.
Yeah. Of course, I had some ups and downs also, but especially now, I must say, I really enjoy it. These connections to the young people also, and you have got really much exchange with the young people and with the colleagues, and really nice social life. Of course, also problems, especially in German. Like all over the world, because of this whole digital things which come into the schools now, and you realize the people don't have the focus anymore which you used to have in the past when you read paper, you read books. And now in the digital world, there comes information. You surf from here to there, and you follow this link and that link. And they don't have this focus anymore. And I think this is a great question, how to deal with it in the future. So there are nice, really nice things, this dealing with the people at school. There are great tasks. Some tasks I don't know how society will deal with them. I I will try to do something which I think might fit it now. But yes, that's so I got teacher, and so I stay, and now I think maybe 6 or 7 years, and then I'm through with it already. And
Wow.
This is also a new thing in life which I will have to deal with. Now the children are out of the house, and I have to build me up some kind of new, and also new daily life, etc. pp. And I'm just looking forward how it develops with my music also, because I think it will change also in some way. When life changes, your music also will change, I think. And yes, and then I'm looking forward to see what comes. And
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Alex, we've been talking a little bit over an hour. I don't want to take too much of your time, but before we say goodbye, I want to say, first of all, I don't know why we never have done this before. We always communicate through email and messages.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
But I enjoyed so much this conversation, Alex. Maybe we should have conversations without recording, right? And just just talk and exchange some ideas. I would really like that, Alex. I really enjoyed our conversation today.
Yes, I was very glad about your question also, and thankful that you thought of me when you said you're doing this podcast. I really feel honored that you thought of me, and I enjoyed it also very much. And
thank you, Alex.
And I'm also looking very much forward to listen to your new album, because I saw that you recorded something, and I said, oh yes, I would like to listen to it. And yes, I'm looking forward very much.
Yeah, I hope you like it. That is the album, the culmination of a series of experiments I did with the guitar. So hopefully you like it, and we'll talk about it some other time.
Yes, absolutely. It's a pleasure, Carlos.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Alex. Once again, you, Alex, are probably the most important and influential musician I ever had in my life, and I am very honored and grateful to know you and for you to be here and talking to me in this podcast. And I really appreciate our friendship, Alex. I really, really do. Thank you. Thank you so much, Alex.
Thank you also very much, Carlos, because you are a very, very big influence for me too. These bedtime stories were the initial point, and this was so great. And yes, I'm looking forward to listen to your new record very much, and we will stay in exchange, and
definitely
tell me if this was the sitar or this instrument which
I will.
Okay, so my best wishes for you and your family also.
Thank you, Alex. You too.
We stay in contact. Thank you very much, Carlos.
Definitely, Alex. Thank you. Take care, Alex. Bye. Bye.